Hey everyone,
Hi guys.
hope you guys are doing amazing. It's so great to see you guys again. Welcome to session number 5. I can't believe that we're already here at session number 5, and hopefully you're been making progress along the way in your journey. In fact, when people are joining in right now, we see people coming in. If you guys could let us know what module are you on, because we want to focus on a little bit module 5 today. We wanted to make sure you guys had a chance to get caught up with the different lessons and everything that ASM has provided for you, because I know some of you might not be quite ready for module 5, which is about your Amazon listing and setting that up. But if you guys let us know here in the chat, if you're on module 1, please put in 1. If you're on module 2, put in 2. If you're on module 3, 4, 5, or 6, which is now available as well, please let us know in the chat so that we can kind of get an idea of where you guys are. What we've done now for the last number of sessions like that is each session we focus on the module. So session number 1 that we've done is more on module 1. Session number 2 is module 2, 3, 4, etc. So make sure that you go back through those previous ones that we've done, the recordings that can hopefully benefit you.
Mm-hmm. And congratulations, we are on module 5. If you're on module 4, you're halfway through the course. So you guys are doing fabulous, fantastic. Keep it up. The fact that you're here right now, you're showing up for this call. I know you have so much to do with going through the modules. ASM, they have their weekly coaching calls as well, which you should be taking advantage of. There's a lot going on. And so congratulations for being here. We respect you for that. And we want to deliver in value to you. We want to make sure that you get a lot out of this coaching session today.
Yeah, so I see someone says they're on module 6, someone's starting module 3. I see someone starting module 5, 2, 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, 3, 6. Fantastic. And guys, I want to reemphasize, as I always do on these sessions, the most important thing is that you're making progress. Don't get caught up in comparing yourself to everyone else, because everyone moves at a different pace, and understanding, again, this is a marathon, not a sprint. I've always shared, when I got into ASM, I didn't have the time to go through it right away. I had to wait at least a month or 2 months before I was really able to dive into the training. And so we all have things going on in our lives. Some of us might take a little bit more time than others to do the research, to go back and forth with suppliers, all of that stuff. It takes time. This is building a business. You're building something that is going to give you the potential to create financial freedom and abundance. And the hard part is everything you're doing right now. The research, setting everything up, the back and forth to the suppliers, all of that stuff, setting up your listing. That's all the hard part, especially because you've never done it before.
Yes.
But once you go through that, you gain that experience, it becomes so much easier. And I'm excited for module 5, the Amazon listing, because that's where the fun part begins. We're getting close to you launching your product on Amazon. And that's exciting, because that's when you can start to see the return on your investment. You can start to see the sales roll in. You can start marketing the product. And for me, that's the favorite part.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. So, and I love what you said. It takes time. And in the beginning, you guys are doing a lot of work now, and you don't really get to see that return on your investment, but that will pay off with time. And as the other day I was just sharing on my Instagram, like, it does get easier. And the beauty is, like, right now you're learning a process. You're learning how to private label a product, launch it on Amazon, and get those sales. And that is a process that once you learn it once, you just take it, you rinse and repeat, you replicate it. You do it with your second product, your third product, your fourth product. We started selling on Amazon, 4 or 5 years ago? 4 years ago? 4 or 5 years ago. And the process is relatively the same. There's small things that have changed with the Amazon policies, but the process is the same. So what you're learning right now, this is going to, it's going to guide you for a number of years. And so everything is new right now, right? Like, if you've never had an online business, if you never had a business in general, there's so much right now that we're all learning, and it can be a little bit overwhelming and intimidating. But once you learn it, once you get a grasp on it, you learn how to use ManyChat for the first time. You learn how to do email marketing for the first time. You learn how to do keyword research. Like, all of these things are new, but once you learn it once, you start to get it, and it becomes so much easier. And once you build a business where you have now the systems and the operations in place, life becomes easier. That's when you can automate the business. The other day, someone asked me on Instagram, can you really automate an e-commerce business? And absolutely, it's one of the easiest businesses to automate. And at first, you got to do a lot of things yourself. You're wearing a lot of different hats because that's what we do as entrepreneurs. And you want to have a basic understanding about how every aspect of your business works. But with time, you start to learn about tools, resources that can help you automate your business, and you hire the people who can now do the work so that you don't have to. You hire customer support, you hire editors, you hire maybe managers, and eventually you can remove yourself from the business and you are no longer the business operator, you're the business owner. And that's where we all want to get to with our e-com businesses. And then at that point, you have all this time on your hands and you can launch a new business or do whatever you want to do, or just enjoy your time, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. We want the freedom. We're all doing this because we want to live, we have one life in this world and we want to enjoy what we're doing. And so this business can provide you with that freedom.
Totally, yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about Module 5 and then dive into the questions that you guys have. So please let us know here in the chat the questions that you have. We'll do the best that we can to answer them for you. But we'll first kind of talk a little bit about Module 5 and give some tips and advice for you guys. But one thing I just want to share too, Tatiana, I see with her business, it's grown so much and it's grown so fast really over the last year. And even like month to month right now, her business grows so much.
Like
and that
week to week.
Yeah, just for example, at the time of this recording and this video that we're doing here, we just had Black Friday, Cyber Monday, which is one of the biggest and best times out of the year for e-commerce businesses. Amazon also has their Prime Day, which is also a big day. And of course, the holidays is important as well. But this time of year, like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, November, December, this is where Amazon makes really all of their money. This is the big opportunity that you all want to get ready, prepared for next year so that you can take advantage of it. Tatiana had her biggest and best sale yet. She did over 60, 70,000 in 1 week during her sale. That's insane in 1 week. And that's the power when you grow your business and brand, things get easier, they scale faster. And she's not even doing that much in the business to maintain it. It's a fairly automated business. And what got her to this point is because she focused on the long term. She was willing to go through the short-term pain to get the long-term rewards and benefits. And that's what you guys are going through right now, the short-term pain, the short-term discomfort, the short-term not knowing what to do, the short-term getting lost and going through that learning curve. And really what's going to separate you from being successful versus someone that's not successful is your willingness to go through that pain period, to go through the challenges that not everyone else is willing to do. Now, we're here on session number 5, where, it's been what, 6 weeks now since you guys joined Amazing Sell Machine. This is where you really see who's truly committed to building a business. This is where we really see those that have a strong enough why, purpose, all of that are going to go on and be successful. Because the first session that we did together, session 1, we had so many people that show up, they're excited, they're enthusiastic, they're ready to get started with ASM, build their Amazon business, all of that. But 80% of success is showing up consistently. So we notice, and this is the frustrating part with us as coaches and trying to help you guys. Session 1, you get this many people that show up. Session 2, there's a drop off. Session 3, drop off. Session 4, here's session 5, drop off, right? Session 6, 7, 8. The deeper you go into mastery and deeper, you don't stay at the surface, those numbers dwindle. So I share this with you guys to really catch yourself now. It's very easy to be excited and motivated at the beginning when something's new. But it's, again, your ability to keep going and be consistent, to follow through and take action even when you don't feel like it, even when you're getting behind, even when it's the holidays, even when you're stressed, even when there's all these other things going on in your life. The person that's successful is the person that still shows up regardless of that. They make it important. They make it a must. They have that strong why and that purpose of why they want to do this. Those are the ones that will go on and succeed. Exactly. So I don't point the finger at anyone. I want you to reflect on yourself. And if you catch yourself losing that motivation, that drive, that hunger, you got to revisit that. And you got to make this more important in your life and make it important. If you want to get to that point where Tatiana is, where I am, and the people that are successful, if you want to be in that 1% club, you got to be willing to do what the 1% does. You can't do what the 99% does, which is dabble, not show up, don't follow through. They want the short-term pleasures. They're not willing to sacrifice. If you're like that, you'll remain in the 99% of people that don't break through in their life and create the financial freedom. The 1%, there's a different mindset. There's a different thinking. They have a different DNA, different hunger, drive, beliefs, different standards, right? So we got to identify which one are you? Which one are you? And the only way is just following up, taking action, continue going with it. It doesn't matter if you're falling behind, if you're not making as much, none of that matters. The one that succeeds is the one that still shows up for calls like this. Yeah. They still go through ASM regardless of what's going on in their life. Because you've seen so many people that have succeeded in this business that aren't the smartest, they don't have the most money, they don't have the most time. They just wanted it more than everyone else. That's really what it comes down to, is your perseverance. So I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and the principles of success are universal. When you look at someone who has a very fit body, they're very physically fit, that just didn't happen overnight. It happened because they were committed, they were dedicated, they raised their standards above what the average people do, right? They have higher standards than the other 99% of people. And that's why they have an excellent bodies, because they wake up in the morning early, even when it's raining, they go to the gym when they don't feel like it. They eat healthy when they don't want to. And so that's the level of standards that they have. And the same thing applies for success. The journey to success, the road to success is narrow. It starts off wide and it gets narrower and narrower. And we can see that here with the coaching calls today. As Stefan mentioned, when we first started coaching, like lots of people were on the coaching calls. Now, there's not that many of you. And so you guys should pat yourselves on the back for being here today, because you showed up. This shows us your level of commitment. But we want to make sure that you continue to show up, because that's what's going to help you to succeed. And the thing is, as we mentioned earlier, so many people started off with the coaching calls and it starts to drop off. But the thing is that you're all taking the same Amazon course. You're all taking the same Amazon FBA course, Amazing Selling Machine. It's the #1 course out there. And the people who drop off and who aren't taking the course seriously, they're going to blame others. They're going to blame everyone but themselves for their lack of success. And you don't want that to be you, because when you get into the habit of blaming others, saying, oh, it was the course, there wasn't enough training, the mentors weren't good, yada, yada, it's like you no longer have any responsibility. And when you don't take ownership, you don't take responsibility, you don't have the power to make any change. And this is with everything in your life. That's why in our relationship, we take responsibility, because that's when we have the power to make a change. And so it's really important to just take ownership of that and realize that we're all going through the same training, and your success is now dependent on you. And so for you, showing up is #1.
Yep, absolutely. So okay. a few tips I have for you guys when it comes to module 5. So let's talk about Amazon listings, setting up your Amazon listing. We'll each kind of share some of our top tips. Really what I look at, guys, when it comes to your Amazon listing, this is your own piece of real estate on Amazon, the world's largest online retailer. You've got your own listing on their website, and you can have your listing, but really you got to optimize it and make sure it's a high converting listing, which is what will generate sales. So the first and most important thing I look at on an Amazon listing is your product image. Okay, it's that one product image that everybody can see in Amazon search, in Amazon ads that you run on Amazon, as well as when Amazon recommends your products or lists your products anywhere. It's that one image that's always going to grab people's attention the most. So that is the #1 thing you really want to optimize and get down. That's going to make the biggest difference in your Amazon listing. There's 2 types of buyers. This is some marketing advice for you guys. There's 2 types of buyers. There's emotional buyers, and then there's logical buyers. Okay, an emotional buyer is someone that when they see your product on Amazon, they know they want it right then and there, right? They're emotional. Like for me, if I go to a car dealership, I see that car, I want it right then and there. I'm going to leave the dealership with the car that day, right? So they buy based on emotion. When they see your Amazon product on Amazon, they see your image, for example, they're going to make a decision.
I want that.
Yeah, they're going to make a decision right then and there. Do I want that or not? Just based on the image alone. I mean, think about it, in this day and age of the internet, there's so much information. There's so many products. Even when you go on Netflix, even when you go on YouTube, you're scrolling, and what you're really looking at, the #1 thing that grabs your attention is the thumbnail, right? You look on Netflix, it's the thumbnail. You look on YouTube, it's the thumbnail. You scroll through Facebook, it's the thumbnail, right? That thumbnail, that image is what's the most important thing that will get people to click or not. So Most people, by the way, they watch a movie, they buy a movie, they click on something based just on that image. So really what you want to make sure is that your image is high quality. You want to make sure that it stands out from all the other products out there. Okay, it stands out in terms of colors, design, just what it might have on that image itself. One of the best things you can do, type in the main keyword for your product on Amazon, scroll through and look to see which are the products that have the images that stand out and grab your attention. Put yourself in the shoes of a consumer. Which are the ones that are going to get you to click? Because the number one goal of that image is to get them to click. So you want to have a good click-through rate so that when they see it, they click on it. That's the number one goal that you want, because otherwise people aren't going to buy the product. They're not going to read your bullet points or description, etc. They're not going to care about that if you don't have an image that's going to get them to click. So that's the first thing you really want to do a great job with, and look at what other people are doing and try to differentiate and stand out and make it really good quality. The other thing, of course, is having your additional images that you want to maybe show different features, benefits of the product, maybe some lifestyle images as well. Those are things you can get a photographer to do, or take out your iPhone, or get a professional camera and shoot some of those yourself if you'd like to save money with that. But the images is number one. Number two is the title. Now the title, ASM has a good process for that. I recommend following what they have. Obviously, you want to have the keyword that you're trying to rank for in that title, maybe a variety of other keywords. You really want to communicate the benefits and the features, but the benefits are always more important than the feature, because people are ultimately, they're buying a product for the benefit that it will give them. It will help solve a problem for them. It will help to make their life easier, better, faster. They don't have to deal with the headache and the problem of the product breaking, or being scratched or falling apart, or whatever it is. You got to know your market and your customer so that you can communicate those benefits to them in an effective way. Okay, benefits over features every day of the week. You could have features like, oh, it's this quality or whatever it is, but people don't care about that as much as they will about the benefits of the product and what it will do for them. So that's that. And then obviously the price is also an important factor. You want to launch your product at a price ideally that's cheaper than everyone else, at least initially, so that you can get some early sales, get some early reviews, and get a boost of Amazon. And once you have some more reviews and you're ranking your product, then you can raise the price. Okay, but that's a way you can differentiate, is based on the price. And then of course, there's reviews, which will come over time when you sell the product. There's your bullet points and your description. ASM's got a great process to help you with that. The bullet points and description, those are more for the logical buyers. The logical buyers, just to go back to what I was saying, the logical buyer is a person that wants all the detailed information. They're going to read every bullet point. They're going to read every review, the good and the bad reviews. They're going to read through the description. They're going to click on your brand name, and they want to learn more about you. Those are the people that they love all the information. So you want to provide that for them as well in your description and bullet points, and try to optimize that the best you can. But what I would say is that really the image is the main thing. That's when I look at everything that you can do on your listing, the image is the biggest thing that is more powerful and important than everything else combined, probably. So there's no point in really dialing in your description and bullets if your image isn't going to get attention, people to click on it. So focus the 80-20 principle, right? Focus 80% of your time and your attention just on the image of your product, and then optimize and improve those other pieces. And then the other piece I'll say is that understand your product listing is not going to be like the best when you first start off. Of course, you want to do the best you can with it, but understand there's a process of constant improvement to eventually get better and better with it. All the products on Amazon that are successful, they didn't just that wasn't their first listing. They listed their product and they've always improved it over time. And you got to have that same mindset. Whatever you put up, just try to improve it over time. As you learn more about your customers, as you get reviews, good and bad reviews, as you have more money to invest in better product images, etc., you want to go back to that listing and make it better and better. Because the more that you can improve it, the more that you'll improve your click-through rate, the more that you'll improve your conversion rate on your listing, and the more sales that you'll make. So understand there's a process of always improving, and maybe even testing things at different times as well. You could test one image versus the other and actually look at the analytics to see, did it increase the click-through rate? Are you getting more visitors to your listing just making on those little changes? sometimes one change can make a huge difference in your sales. And so it's hard right now. You're kind of guessing when you're setting up your listing, but you have to test and look to see how people are responding to your listing by testing different parts of it and seeing what converts best.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll share with you some of my tips. So I'm going to echo what he said about the images. Images are absolutely critical to your Amazon listing because your images are basically going to have to act as how your product would act if it was on the shelf at a retail store. Like if you know retail, you know that your product packaging is everything because that's what draws people's attention. When you have an e-commerce store, you don't have your product packaging is irrelevant because people don't see your product packaging. What's more important is your product images. So depending on what category you're selling in, you're going to be allowed, 5 to maybe 7 images. You want to use up all of that space. So make sure you have it, use up all the images that you can. Your main image, make sure that the product itself is big. It's taking up as much space as possible. So cut out any extra white space. So there's no white space on the corners or anything. You want to make it as big as possible because when people are scrolling on Amazon, the bigger the image, the more it's going to stand out to them. So that's really important. I would also add that if your product comes with anything, like any accessory, any bonus, any packaging, or if your packaging's nice, or if it comes with a carrying case, include that in your main image. You're allowed to include anything in your main image that actually comes with your product. And so I would really strongly advise you to do that because what it does is now it increases the perceived value of that product over other competitors. So when people are looking at your product versus other products, when they're browsing, if they see that your product comes with a carrying case and they don't see that in someone else's image, even though maybe your competitor also provides that, but if it's not in their main image, you're probably going to get more clicks than they will. So stuff it as much as you can, add into that main image. If you have nice packaging, you can include that as well. Now, I would say for all of your following images, what's really important, because most people don't read the description or the bullet points, you want to make sure that you include text in your images. So there's going to be, I would recommend your first few images that they have text. Anything that's important that you need to convey to the buyer, you want to include that in your images. And you have to do it in a very sleek, modern, professional way. There's a ways that it can look tacky. You don't want to get these done on Paint or trying to do it yourself. Have a professional do this. And just make sure that, again, as Stefan said, you're communicating the benefits and not just the features. And so what we mean by that is, for example, if your product is more durable than your competitors, you're not just going to say, more durable because, that's a feature. You want to explain to them why they care. Why is it that they want it to be more durable? So it lasts longer, so they don't have to buy it again. So whatever reason, you want to communicate your job as the marketer, because right now you guys are becoming marketers. Anyone who has an e-commerce store, you have to learn to become a marketer. And your job is to get inside of the customer's head, to think, okay, what is it that they're thinking right now when they look at this image? What is it that they're thinking when they're looking over here? You want to try as much as possible to get inside their heads, because that's going to help you with the message that you're communicating. And so you really want to be able to relate to your audience. That's why it's so important to understand who your audience is. Get clear on who your customer avatar is, who is your ideal client. Get a lot of clarity around that, because that's going to help you with your marketing.
Yeah. And just one thing, can I add one thing to that? Just with the bullet points. So knowing the benefits of your product, as she said, listing those out. But I love what she said, not just the features, to know what the benefits are, right? So if it is durable, one little copywriting tip for you as a marketer. So if you say that the product is durable, you'd say to the consumer, you'd write, this is a durable product. What that means to you is, right? You fill in, that's the benefit. So this product is durable. What that means to you is that you're not going to have to worry about it breaking. And then you follow that up. What that really means to you is that you're going to have peace of mind. You're going to save money. You're going to have a product that is going to last for 10 years, whatever it is. That's how you have to think, is you got to expand on the feature to know what the benefit of that feature is. And that's why I like the copy technique of saying, this is the feature. What that means to you is blank. What that really means to you is this, right? Because then you're connecting in their brain, this feature equals peace of mind. It equals happiness. It equals saving money. It equals better safety and health for my family, my loved one, whatever it is, right? You got to know what those benefits and those features are.
Yeah. Or you could even start, like for the bullet point specifically, you don't have to start with the feature. You could actually just start with the emotion, like, you know, more like, I don't know, I can't give you an example right now, but you can start with the emotion and then talk about what features give you that result. Anyway, so product images. So yes, having text on your product images is really important. Try and think of what's important for your customers to know, what would help convert them. And I would also recommend having those lifestyle pictures in there as well, because you want to show how people can use your product in a variety of different ways. So that's really important. And then just making sure that your images are bright and like colorful and, you know, just really professional, and make sure that they can zoom into your pictures. So they need to be high quality so that they can zoom into them. And I would also suggest, just reminding you guys, don't ever assume anything. Don't ever assume that your customer gets what you're trying to communicate if you're not actually writing it out. So sometimes I remember in the past, I would like, oh yeah, it's so obvious that, you know, my product does this because of the product image. But just because someone is like doing that in the product image doesn't mean that the customer is going to understand the meaning that you want them to get. So if there's something important that needs to be communicated, don't just assume that they're going to get it. Write it down, make it very clear and obvious.
You want to make it so simple that a kid could understand it, right? So you want to, like, one thing even in marketing and sales copy, you want to like lower the reading level of it so that it's like grade 1 reading level. Like some kid who's like 7 years old can actually understand what you're trying to communicate. So you have to dumb down your marketing in some ways, just to make sure that you can appeal to the
like, don't think that adding, you know, fancy jargon's gonna, you know, make you or your brand sound smart. Like, nobody cares about that. You want to communicate in a way that's very clear and that the masses can understand. Okay, and then product title. ASM teaches you about that. You want to make sure you have good keywords in there. ASM does teach you to put your brand name first in your product title. I would suggest also, not now, but eventually split testing that to see, okay, my brand name is first. Let's now, for the next 2 weeks, try with just having my keyword first instead of my brand name first. Because my philosophy is that in the beginning, nobody knows who your brand is. You know, you're just you're just an emerging brand. Nobody's ever heard about you before. So right now, your keyword, your brand name is not a keyword. Like, people aren't searching for your brand name. So it's taking up that very fancy real estate space, because the ranking in which you have your keywords is going to matter on your title. So maybe removing your brand name and just replacing it with your main keyword. So for example, for me, it would be waist trainer, not Luxe Curves, and see if that helps convert a little bit better. If not, just bring your brand name back in there.
Yeah, and just one piece to that too. So Amazon, they have many factors that they determine how to rank a product in their algorithm, their search engine. But one of them is having the keyword in the title. And the earlier that keyword in the title is, like if it's the first word or two, then they prioritize that higher than all the other text that you have. You got to be careful though with like keyword stuffing and putting too much, because that can get you in trouble. But also, you want to track the ranking of your listing over time. So all the keywords you're putting for your product, you want to know every week or every 2 weeks where your product is ranking for each of those keywords. And you can do it manually using like a spreadsheet. It's a lot of work, but Jungle Scout, Helium 10, there's tools out there that can help with the tracking process of that. Because you want to know, where is your product ranked for the keyword? And then over time, does it go up? Does it go down? So that you can improve it and drive more sales to get it ranking, or change the keywords, because sometimes the keywords that you pick are too competitive. You might have to change that around to find those keywords that can help you rank the best.
Yeah, so you're going to hear this a lot. Like, split testing is going to be really valuable for you with your Amazon business, because right now, you're just trying things. You're just like throwing out a listing, images. You're seeing, okay, hopefully this is good. Let's see how it does. But you can't just put the listing out there and leave it forever. You need to test it over time to see how you could improve things. And so we call it split testing. So you can learn to do that yourself. Eventually, you could hire a company to do that for you if you desire. Bullet points. So bullet points, sometimes what we see is that they get really stuffy, like lots of words. And your customer is more likely to read your bullet points than your description. So here's kind of like your second chance to hook people. But the thing is, if you have a huge paragraph, 5 huge paragraphs full of information, when people look at the bullet points, they just get overwhelmed and they say, I'm not going to read this. And so sometimes less is more with bullet points. I would recommend being very clear on what your message is for each of those bullet points, and don't try and word stuff. Don't try and add extra words. Yes, keywords are important, but I would suggest, what I've encountered is that, just having a very clear bullet point rather than just trying to fill in as many keywords as it can works a lot better. People get to understand it. Also on Amazon, you are allowed specific HTML. So people thought in the past, like, you're not allowed to do specific HTML to like have bold fonts or emojis, and Amazon does allow certain types of HTML. So you can Google that. There's a website, I forget what it's called. It might be Seller Tools, where they actually have this like HTML editor where you can put in like what you want for your bullet points, and they basically show you what type of HTML is allowed, and then you can copy and paste it on your Amazon listing. So I would recommend doing that because that helps to break up things. So you can have like your main benefits in capital letters and then have something else in lowercase. So it helps break up that text. And then, the description, I'm not going to go into that, like ASM talks about that, but I will say that it is important for you to have people ask questions on your Amazon listing. This is something that nobody really talks about or teaches, but you have to realize that when people are asking questions, every listing has this option where a customer can go and ask questions and the seller can respond, or other people who have purchased the product can respond. This is your opportunity to now respond using keywords. This is going to help rank your listing. And also it shows your customers that you're actually there responding to people, taking care of them. And the cool thing is that anyone can post a question. So your friends, your family, they don't have to buy your product to be able to post a question. So I strongly encourage you to ask everyone to post questions. That's going to help. And then of course, getting those reviews, those initial 10 reviews is really important because it's going to show people, give them more confidence to buy from you when they see others have purchased from you in the past as well. And then my last thing is just in the back end, make sure that you're adding in those keywords. So in your Amazon Seller Central account, when you're going to your listing and you're going into the back end, there's space to add in those keywords. Make sure that you're adding those in there because that's going to help you with your ranking as well. Don't forget about it.
Awesome. So that's a lot for you guys. I think it's a good enough start for you, but I think it just understand it's a process. You're always testing, trying to improve, changing elements of your listing so that you can get better conversions. But with that being said, how about we dive into some of your questions? So I see some questions that have been coming in. We'll dive in and try to answer as many as we can. Anything that you need help with, you might be going through a challenge, a struggle. You might have something that is related to certain modules, something you're unsure about. Whatever it is, we'll do the best we can to help you. We want to remind you, we don't know every answer out there. I know some questions that you guys have are very specific and very niche questions that neither of us, I think, really know the answer to. So sometimes, you have to dig a little bit deeper to find those answers because there might be certain questions you might have related to a certain product or certain category that we're not familiar with. And I think really the best place, we can try to answer it, but otherwise using the ASM community, the ASM mentors, using the Facebook group. Most often, the great thing about this, again, is the community element that if we don't know the answer, there's probably someone else that does. Or you might have to dive in a little bit deeper and do some Google research for that too. But we'll try to answer things the best that we can. So one here is from Martin. Martin has a few questions. We'll try to answer them for him, but we want to make sure everyone gets a chance to ask questions too. So Martin says, hi, Stefan and Tatiana. How would you identify a non-brandable product, one you would avoid due to a lack of potential for branding? What kinds of products would fall into that category? So Martin, every type of product, you can create a brand around it. So in terms, I want to make a distinction here. So every type of product, you want to create a brand around it. That's like your company name, maybe the name that you might have for your website, your Amazon store. That's the brand. That's the logo. That's the on your packaging that makes you different and unique from the other products out there. I think what you might be referring to, though, is that there are some products that are easier or maybe more difficult to market than others. So for example, a product that's very simple, okay, let's say it's like a spatula. That's a product that's a little bit difficult to stand out and differentiate across many other spatulas out there. It's a product that doesn't really solve a big problem. It's not really a necessity. It's an accessory for someone. It's something that there's only so much you can do with it. You know, you're kind of limited maybe in some ways of how you can market that on Instagram, you know, or YouTube, because it's not that exciting. You know, it's not that unique, I guess you could say. And there's products that are like that. I'm just using a spatula as an example. There's products that are like that that you still might want to consider pursuing. And the reason why you'd pursue it is because even though it might be hard to market it outside of Amazon, it could have a great potential and opportunity on Amazon. So for example, if you come across a product and you're like, wow, this product, I can rank easily for it in Amazon. It's got high potential demand. There's not much competition. Yes, you might not be able to market it or brand it or build a community around it and all that and get influencers to promote it, but it might still be a good opportunity because of the research that you've done on Amazon. It could still make sense, okay? So there's types of products like that you might still want to consider to go with because it has that potential on Amazon. And you might have an early advantage with that product where you can rank it, get sales, build up the reviews, and build an authority product and listing on Amazon, which is great. However, other products out there, like a spatula, for example, because it's more of a competitive space and there's really not much you can do to really differentiate or stand out. Maybe there is, but that is a more challenging product because not only is it competitive and challenging to rank and succeed with on Amazon, but there's also not much you can do outside of Amazon. You know, you can't find influencers, you can't create a YouTube channel around it and Instagram account, and you're kind of limited in how you can promote it. So that's an example of what you want to look at versus there's other products that might be competitive on Amazon, but there's a lot of potential in how you can market it outside of Amazon, right? There's influencers, content creators, all that you can do that in spite of the competition, you can succeed with it because there's so much you can do outside of Amazon. So I think it's that distinction you want to make and you want to look at for each of these products. You want to look at and think about how are you going to sell it? How can you be unique? How can you differentiate? How are you going to make money from this product? Really, that's what you got to plan out and think about in considering whatever product you're going to sell. So there's some products that might be, you know, and I think just kind of doing the research, deeper research on the product is helpful for that. I always look outside of Amazon. I type in the product in Google, I type it in YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, because I want to see, have people built a community around it? Are they marketing it on Instagram? Are they marketing it on Facebook, on YouTube, etc.? And that will give you ideas and how you can market it and build a bigger brand around that product if you choose to.
Okay, Martin's also asking, how does a third-party inspection work? Say I have an electronic product that works on the surface, but would they run more detailed tests with proper test tools to check all internal specs are okay too? So for third-party inspections, I actually have a video on YouTube about this where I kind of talk about that in detail. I recommend checking it out. Just go to my channel, Tatiana James, type in third-party, it'll come up. But basically, there's different levels that you can hire them for. So you can pay for a very basic inspection, and you can say, oh, I want you to inspect, 10 random products out of my order of 300 products. And, it's not going to cost much. Or you can have them inspect each product individually, and that's going to cost you more money. So it depends on the plan that you order. And then, in terms of testing the products, they're going to just test them to see if they actually work. So if you have an electronic product and it needs to be plugged into the wall or it uses batteries, they're going to test it as the customer would test it. But they're not going to take the product apart and inspect each item piece inside the product. That's not their job. That's not what they do, because they want to test it from the customer's experience, from the customer's point of view. So that's what they'll do, but it just really depends on what you hire them for. So check out that video that I have, because that will go more in depth about that.
Another one that he had is how to compare products that have multiple count and size options. Do we take into account only exactly the same packages as far as number and size of individual pieces are concerned? So Martin, I'm actually a little bit confused by your question. I'm not sure if I'm totally clear on what you're asking. I'm not sure if you know, but if you're here live, you can clarify it for us. That would be helpful for us. But there are some products, clothing items, for example, there might be different sizes. That is a little bit harder to start out with, I'd say, than other products, because now you have to have more inventory. You got to cater to a variety of different sizes, which makes it a little bit more challenging. But I'm not sure exactly what you mean by comparing products that have multiple count and size options. So if you have more information, we'll try to answer that for you.
Okay, Martin's also asking, when searching for a product, I came across Proposition 65 warning that requires to be on a product sold to Californians. How does this work, as any product sold in the US might end up in California? Well, yes, that's true. If you're selling it on Amazon, Amazon can redistribute your inventory, to different warehouses. And of course, you have customers all over the state, so you don't know where the product's going to end up. Could end up in California, could end up in New York. There's customers everywhere. So that is definitely a good question to be asking. My suggestion is, to avoid any product that has a Proposition 65 warning, because first of all, Proposition 65 is a warning that, it's in place in California because there's chemicals that might cause cancer. And, to me, that's like a red flag. First of all, I don't know if I want to sell anything. I don't know if I want to, muddle my hands with that, have anything to do with a product like that, because there's a liability risk there. If a product, chemical, that is with your product might cause cancer, there's going to be some level of liability risk. And then that's something else that you have to be concerned about and protect yourself from. So I would just avoid, like we talk about this a lot, when it comes to your first product, you're going to have certain restrictions to make you more conservative with your decision, because it is your first product. And we want to make it as easy as possible for you. We want it so that you don't have to encounter all of these additional things that you got to do. You're already learning so much. You have to learn so much in this process. Why make your life harder by now having to go and investigate, what the laws are in California, Proposition 65, liability insurance, all of these additional things? It's just going to be more work for you and possibly cause more complications. So I would avoid that, and anything else that does have quite a severe liability risk.
Martin also says, in MBS Retriever, I sometimes get a lot of products with no BSR, sales, reviews data. Should we ignore these or regard this product as highly competitive, even with missing data or so many sellers? So Martin, I want to share with you again, we don't use MBS. MBS is a tool that ASM created for you guys to give to you for free as a bonus, like to help you guys out with your product research process. But MBS is going to be limited. It's not like, for example, we use Jungle Scout, which we think is the best. Helium 10 is great too. These are companies that invest millions of dollars into their product research tool. And so ASM, even though they're trying to provide something for you guys to help you out, to get you started, something for free, it's just not going to be as good as what Jungle Scout has, because Jungle Scout, again, they've got a huge team and developers, and they've been working on it for several years. ASM is not a product research software company, right? They don't have, they're not going to invest millions of dollars into that. So I think MBS is going to have some limitations to it. I don't even bother with it because I use Jungle Scout. Jungle Scout's better and it's great. So I just recommend use Jungle Scout. Let's make it easier and simpler. It's an expense for your business, yes, but the product research is such an important part of the business. Why try to save money with that, especially when you've already invested this money in ASM and here, like it's not that expensive, So you got to be smart and understand, yes, it's a bit of money, but you're making a big decision based on what these research tools are giving you. You're investing hundreds or thousands of dollars into inventory and months into a process that you want to make sure you've got the right tools that can help you. If you're trying to build a house, you want the right tools. There's other tools out there that could break, that are cheaper, that might not be as good. For me personally, I want the best tools. The best tools is going to make it easier for you to build that house and get to where you want to go.
Yeah. And again, those are tools that Stefan and I wish we had when we were first starting. Like we had to do this manual process, and like it's just so much easier nowadays. I'm not good at math. I'm prone to human error. The calculator, the Jungle Scout, there's no human error there. Okay, so Heather's saying, viewing module 5, but still haven't ordered my products, so I'm not actually setting up my listing yet. I'm sure I'll be watching it multiple times. That's great. I'm sure a lot of people, you know, like module 5 opened up, you've watched it, but maybe you aren't that far yet. And, you know, you should be watching the modules multiple times. You know, you shouldn't just be watching a module once. You should watch it over and over again until you've applied everything it's taught. Someone else, you know, from a previous ASM student, ASM 10 emailed me, and they were saying how, you know, they were asking me all these questions, and I said, well, it's clear that you have not actually implemented everything that ASM is teaching. My advice was just to go back to the ASM training, watch the modules again, take notes, and actually apply what they're teaching you, because if you follow it step by step, you're going to get results. But the problem is oftentimes, even people who buy the program, they'll watch the module once, they won't take notes, they do a few things, but they don't do everything that the module told them to do, and then they miss important things. So it is important to go back, watch the modules again, make sure you didn't miss anything, because that's where you can, you know, have a lot of issues.
And be careful, like getting analysis paralysis and information overload. Like for me, I always prefer not to jump ahead, because for me, like I only want to learn and then implement what I learn. And then once I've implemented it, then move on to the next step. So that's what you got to be careful with, because then you get caught up in just consuming information and not actually doing it. The only success comes from actually doing and taking action with it. And sometimes the more information you gain, it actually holds you back. It can be a detriment, because now you overcomplicate things in your mind and it prevents you from moving forward. So be careful of analysis paralysis, where you're thinking about things that you don't need to think about just yet. You know, one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. Sorry, and Natalia says, thank you, Tatiana, very much for the reminder for the coaching call. So I did send out a reminder this time. You're very welcome. But I do want to say that I'm not going to be sending out reminders before each coaching call. And the reason for that is because my job is not to babysit you guys. And now as you are becoming, you know, entrepreneurs, e-commerce, business owners, you know, that's one small thing to learn to schedule things into your calendar, because that's part of time management, and it's part of taking accountability and responsibility. You know, for previous coaching calls, I saw some people emailing me saying, oh, I wish I had a reminder email about the coaching call. And I said, no, I sent you one email. If it's important to you, you will schedule it into your calendar, just like you'll schedule a yoga class or anything else that's important to you. So it's your job now to take responsibility and to put that into your calendar so you don't miss these calls if you value them enough.
Yeah. Put in your phone, set up 2 reminders for it. That's what I always do. I always just put things on my phone. I get a reminder 1 hour before and 1 day before. Yeah. So my phone automatically reminds me of that. Otherwise, we're not going to remind you, hey, you know, come on to this. Like, here's the date, here's the time. If you're there, let's do it.
Yeah. And it's about building these habits, right? These are success habits. And so when you start to get into a routine of doing these things, and like, okay, you have something to do, you do it now, or you have something to schedule, you schedule it now, you do it right away instead of leaving it for later where it can be forgotten. That's going to really help you as you go along with your business and grow.
Okay, great. Ahmad has a question about QR barcode inserts. What is our main focus? Is it to get our customer to give a review by offering a warranty or a discount? What if I have a product and does not offer a warranty? So Ahmad, for me, what I look at, the most important thing when you acquire a customer, they receive the product. The number one goal that I have is to get that customer's information, because I want to build a long-term relationship with that customer. I want to be able to add more value to their life. I want to create a raving fan customer, which is someone that's going to buy from me again and again and again. I don't want the transaction to happen where I just give you something, you give me money for it, and then we're like, goodbye, we never talk to each other again. I don't want that, because I know there's a long-term value and relationship that you can cultivate where you have a customer that maybe gives you $20 today, and then maybe next month they pay you another 20 bucks. And then over a year, maybe they invest $100 in you and your company. You can take one initial customer that you might make $20 from, and over several months or years, turn that into thousands of dollars. And it's much easier to sell something to an existing customer who's already bought from you than trying to go and get new customers that don't know about you, that never bought anything from you before. So when you have a customer, that person's worth so much more to you and your business. That's someone that's raised their hand. They've given their credit card. They've taken action. Okay, that's so valuable. So For me, I want their information. I want their email address so that I can send them an email and I can thank them. I can follow up with them and ask them to leave a review on Amazon. I could survey them and learn more about them and ask, hey, you know what, how can I help you more? What are your goals right now in your life? What are your challenges? Do you mind filling out this form real quick? And so I can see how I can serve you a little bit more. And then maybe do affiliate marketing where I can send another email to them as a follow-up and say, hey, you know what, I found this great product that can further help you, that can complement the product you already bought from me. Here's more you can learn about it. It's a great course, or it's a great digital product or book or whatever it is, right? But now you're opening up the back end of your business where you can make so much more money. So you want it to do that. You want to offer something for free that's valuable, that's going to be a high enough incentive for them to want to scan the QR barcode or to go to your website that you might have on your insert or your packaging, right? You want to communicate whatever it is that you're offering for free. You want to communicate that in an effective way where they think, I want that. I want that. And great bonuses that you can offer. I love digital products because they don't cost anything and they're a great way to get someone on your email list. It could be a free ebook. It could be a free video course. It could be a free MP3. It could be a resource guide. It could be a cheat sheet. It could be something that adds more value to them, because now that's a bonus that you can offer in your product, but now it's something that they're getting for free. And in order for them to get it, they've got to go to the website and put in their name and email address in your funnel. As part of our bonuses, you got a bonus for us to set up a funnel for you. There's many types of funnels that you can set up, but it's something you're going to want to learn because that helps you build an email list, which is really the most valuable asset in your business. Amazon, the thing with Amazon is the limitation of them is they don't give you the customer information because Amazon views them as their customers, not yours. Amazon wants that person to buy from Amazon again and again. They don't want you to take them from Amazon and have them go through your funnel and buy from your own website or whatever it is. Amazon doesn't make any money from that. So that's why you have to be strategic about that. Now, you asked about getting the review. Reviews are important. You want to get those from them, but understand when they first receive the product, they haven't used it yet to leave a review. So only a small percentage of people will leave a review the moment they receive the product. Some people might take them a few days, a few weeks, a few months before they leave the review. So that's also the benefit of having their email address so that you can follow up over a period of time to get those reviews from them. So really, I think the most important thing is get them on your email list. If you can do a warranty, if you can do a free ebook, a free video, free something, that's your job to know your market. If you're in the cooking space, you're selling a spatula, then you're offering a free recipe guide or free, I don't know, like cookbook or something like that. If it's a yoga mat, then maybe you offer a free video training on yoga poses for beginners or a free ebook of the top 10 poses that you need to do, right? You got to think about your market and how you can further serve them with that. But that's really the number one goal.
Yeah, and I would also say, like, if you are conflicted and you're not sure what to offer for free, ask people, because sometimes, you might think, oh, this recipe for, 10 keto-friendly desserts or something like that. You might think it's a good idea, but maybe your audience doesn't. And so the best way is to just survey people. Right now in the beginning, you don't have an audience to survey, but you do have friends and family. So ask them, hey, if I included this ebook, would this be something that interests you? If you got it for free, all you had to do is give me your email and get their honest feedback. And better yet, if your friends and family actually are your target audience, if they're people who would actually buy the product that you're about to sell, because that's going to give you direct feedback.
Melanie says, if the first product doesn't do well, will it affect my Amazon Seller Central account?
No,
it's not going to affect it.
It doesn't affect your account, but what can affect your account is if you get negative seller feedback. So you have something called seller performance. And most of the time, because you guys are fulfilled by Amazon, FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, you don't have to worry too much about seller performance, because it's not like you're going and shipping the products yourself and you have a 2-day window where you have to ship the products by, and you could have miss the deadlines or whatever it may be. But you do have to worry about negative feedback from your customers. And feedback is different than reviews. Customers can be asked to leave feedback. Amazon will request them to leave feedback, seller performance feedback, which is private, which is for you to see in your Amazon Seller Central account. And then they might also ask them to leave a public review. But if they leave you negative feedback, that will hurt your Seller Central account. So the product itself, if it's not a good product and it's just not selling, that's not going to hurt you. But if it's a product that is like, people are really disappointed with and they leave you negative feedback, that will hurt you. And you can get feedback removed. There's ways that you can get seller feedback removed if the customer, if they're commenting on the product instead of on you as a seller and your performance as a seller, then you can actually send an email to customer support, Amazon customer support, and say, hey, please remove this seller feedback because it has nothing to do with me as a seller and it should be a product review.
Melanie also says, for the second product, if it is a different niche and brand, do we open a new store on Amazon or do we need a new Seller Central account? No, so just keep it under the same Seller Central account. You can only have one Seller Central account per company entity or individual. So to set up a new Seller Central account, you'd have to open up a new company and it's a whole new process for that.
Mm-hmm. Lucy says, I started selling my product before I purchased ASM11. I just sell a basic product, but haven't really improved the packaging and don't have the QR code. Just the basic thing, but I believe the product is good quality. But now I just see my competitors have nice packaging and bonuses, so I feel like I am kind of losing on this. Do you have any recommendations, please? Thank you. So yeah, that's the thing is like a lot of people sometimes they want to go and they start selling on Amazon, using YouTube videos and Google. And we always tell people like your best option is to start with a good course. So it would have been nice if had just started with ASM and you have a clean slate. But because you already started and your product is a good quality product, so you don't just want to sell off that inventory, you want to build it out. I would say for future orders, you can always improve the packaging and improve those things. But for your existing products and inventory, if your competitors have better packaging than you or whatever it may be, they have now a competitive edge and you need to find one for yourself. And you can't necessarily go and get your products redone or add a bonus or anything. So your products remain as is. So what else can you do to differentiate yourself and increase your perceived value for your customers? And so that will come down to your Amazon listing, really making sure that it's a 10 out of 10 listing, amazing images, great description, really improving that to the best of your ability. And then also just over delivering with any kind of extra bonuses that maybe are digital, as Stefan mentioned, like an ebook or a course or something else that you can insert, that you can include in your product to, again, increase the perceived value. With your future orders, you can always improve that, right? Like you can improve product packaging, you can add a new bonus, whatever it may be. But for that existing inventory, that's really what you got to do. And then I think just try and drive traffic to your Amazon listing from off of Amazon. So whether that be from, Facebook or from Instagram or whatever, because Amazon likes that when you're driving traffic towards them from other platforms that can reward you. But yeah, you just gotta, you can still implement some strategies that ASM teaches to a product that you've already have listed. There's different things that you can learn, again, improving your listing. But yeah, I mean, if it's a great quality product, you shouldn't have too much of a hard time to actually sell it. It's just getting people to your listing, right? Like that's what marketing is making sure that, hey, I've got a great product, let me put it in front of you. So it comes down to your marketing. And a big part of that is your listing, your PPC, Amazon ads. So I don't know if you're running ads. That's a really great way to drive traffic really fast.
Yeah, and don't be too discouraged about what other people are doing. Everyone that's already selling in your category and your type of product, they've got a big head start on you, right? They've been at it longer than you. They have a bit of an advantage. You can't expect yourself to be where they are, especially when you're just getting started with it. And they never started at that point either, right? They got better over time. They've improved their listing, their product, their packaging, all of that. So don't be too hard on yourself with that. Try to think about ways you can stand out at the beginning. And then as you start selling it, then you can improve it, make it better. And now you have money to invest back into it as well. So that's a process that happens over time. Mm-hmm. A question here from Siavish is, do you know, I lost the question actually.
I think it's further down.
He said, I remember you guys mentioned you opened companies in Panama and I read that Panama is a tax haven. Is there any benefit to opening a business there as a Canadian to avoid the high taxes there? What other solutions would you suggest to avoid paying taxes on the revenue on Amazon? So there's no ways you're going to avoid paying taxes. really this is like, so one is I have a bonus. I think we both included it where I share a lot of the tax strategies that can help you. But even then, we still pay taxes. We are in a more tax-friendly jurisdiction, and there are strategies that are available for you, but these strategies only make sense for you to pursue when you're making a lot of money. So, really you pursue these taxes when your business is at least 6 figures, if not 7 figures a year and more than that you're really going to benefit from the accountants, the lawyers, and everything you're going to have to go through to actually really benefit from tax savings. As a Canadian, you get taxed on your residency. So as long as you're a Canadian resident, you have to pay taxes on your worldwide income. In the United States, you get taxed on your citizenship, on your passport. So even if you revoke your residency, you decide to live in Panama or somewhere else, as long as you're a US citizen, you still have to pay taxes worldwide in the United States. If you are a Canadian, there is more flexibility where you can still keep your Canadian citizenship, but if you want to avoid taxes in Canada, you have to give up your residency and you'd have to move to a country like Panama and become a permanent resident there. So that's a bit of a process, and it's a lifestyle change. You got to decide if it makes sense. We made that decision because it made sense for our lifestyle, the amount of money that we make financially, our long-term goals, the lifestyle of traveling the world, all of that. It made a lot of sense for us. And that was something that we only really pursued based on being in a situation where you're forking out a lot of money to the Canada Revenue Agency and taxes. But even then, even if you set up in Panama, you're still paying taxes because Panama, you don't pay taxes on foreign income. So any money that you make outside of Panama, you don't pay taxes on. But if you live in Panama, and you have a Panamanian corporation and you pay, you're not paying taxes on the corporate level, but when you pay yourself a dividend or salary from your Panamanian company to yourself as a Panamanian resident, now that's income produced within Panama that you have to pay taxes on. Also, there's other factors. In Panama, for example, it's kind of hard to run an online business. Like you can't set up PayPal. You have a number of limitations, even linking with Amazon Seller Central. So we actually don't run our businesses from Panama. We set up in Singapore. I spent like an hour going over this in the bonus that goes more in depth into this process. Singapore is a little bit more friendly for offshore banking and offshore corporations and running an online business. You're gonna have to travel to Singapore to actually set up your bank account. You're gonna need a nominee director. There's a lot of expenses, logistics involved in it. Really don't worry about taxes right now. When you're at a point where you're making, and you're not just making, but you're profiting, if not paying, I'd say over $100,000 a year in taxes to the government, that's when you want to then really dial in your tax strategies and see what options are available for you. Otherwise, right now, there's no point even worrying about it. Make money first, become successful first, and then worry about optimizing your tax situation.
Once it becomes very painful to pay the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Ahmed says, my manufacturer is having a problem with QR barcode insert. They cannot do it. This is so important to move forward because I need this to set up ManyChat. There's many other things difficult. Any assistance? Do you think that I should get Packaging Pro to design package with QR barcode? I mean, the barcode's important. I mean, I don't even think you have a barcode on your product. I never did. This is like a new thing, which is, it's great. It's a great idea to do barcodes. For me, what I did was I just had a link. I had www.mywebsite.com/this. Go to that page. I mean, barcodes does make it easier, but that could be a solution for you. If you can do barcodes, great. Otherwise,
I would still keep a link on your product. Though.
Yeah,
Some
either
people
way.
don't know how to use barcodes.
I didn't know how to use barcodes till like a while ago.
Like a few months ago.
Yeah. So I mean, the link is still like the easiest and the best way. But I mean, if your supplier can't do it, see if they can eventually do it. That could be a great long-term thing to have set up. Otherwise, I think you said, there's some other options you mentioned you could do in terms of getting your packaging done elsewhere. That's another option as well. But honestly, I wouldn't worry about the barcode as much. You could have a link instead. really, like, we worry so much about these things. Like, what percentage of a difference is this really going to make? You have a link versus a barcode. If someone sees it and they want whatever it is that you're offering bad enough on your insert, they're gonna use the link or the barcode. Like, there's gonna be like a 1%, maybe a 5% difference in the convenience factor of the barcode. So don't get bogged down in worrying too much about things that don't matter as much as we make it seem to be. We often are a perfectionist. We think it has to be perfect and everything has to just be just right. Oh my God, they can't have a barcode, and we make it a bigger problem than it really is. So when you actually really look at it, does it matter as much? Is just having a link versus a barcode really going to make that much of a difference? Probably not. Eventually, yes, maybe do the barcode, see if your supplier can do it, find a better option. But for now, it's not really that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so someone's asking, how do we communicate a benefit in the pictures over features? I feel like every feature provides a benefit. Should we explicitly write that it provides that benefit? So if you're talking about the images, your product images on your listing, you have limited space for what you can write on those images, obviously, and you don't want to have a whole paragraph written on those images. That defeats the purpose of the simplicity of reading from the image. What I would recommend is really you could list the benefit and then have something smaller text that lists briefly the feature. So for example, say I'm selling, I was watching a commercial the other day, Huggies diapers, and their benefit is that the babies sleep longer throughout the night because there's 3 layers of technology that helps to absorb their pee so that they don't wake up crying and that mom and dad don't have to wake up and then soothe the baby. So the benefit is that they sleep longer throughout the night. So you could have that benefit listed on your picture, and then maybe like with an arrow or in like something, modern, sleek design, smaller font, you can say 3 layers of absorption. Right? So you're listing the benefits, but you're clarifying with the feature. So that's the way I would probably go about it. But, again, don't like to be too analytical about this. Do your best to communicate your message and see what your competitors are doing. Because usually if people are number 1, number 2, number 3 on Amazon, they're doing something right. They're perfect sellers to model because they're obviously, number 1 for a reason. So see what they're doing and model them. You don't have to copy everything that they're doing, but they are great examples for you. If you're challenged and you're not sure what to do, look towards them.
Yeah. And just to clarify, you don't have to list every benefit. The most important benefits, the top 3 benefits, the top 3 to 5 benefits, right? Sometimes people get carried away. They want to mention every benefit. And it's like, you gotta know your customer. What are the ones that they actually care about and value the most, and communicate those to them.
Yeah.
Lucy says, how much time do you recommend for testing the product listing before changing some features in it? So Lucy, if you're going to make a test, so here's what I recommend. Only test one thing at a time. A lot of people, they try to test too many things and you don't end up really knowing what really made the biggest difference for you. So what you'd want to do, like, let's say, and you always want to test the most important thing first. So let's say it's the product image, the main product image. Maybe you've got 2 different images and you're not quite sure which one is going to outperform the other. So what you'd want to do is you'd want to have the one image run for maybe a certain period of time. Maybe it's a month, right? Really, the testing depends on how much traffic and how many sales your listing's getting, because you need traffic and sales to determine. You need enough of that to really make a determination of which one is the more successful one. So it depends on that, right? It depends on how much traffic and how many sales that you're getting to your product. If you're testing it like, oh, this image got 5 sales, this one got 3 sales, that's not enough evidence to really say that this one is the better image to go with. You really need a lot of data, maybe like at least 50 sales of, like 50 sales of one to determine it's better than the other. So keep that in mind. But what you'd want to do is you'd want to run, let's say, one image for a month, and then look at the data from that, look at the traffic, conversion, sales, everything as much as you can, and then try a different image, run it for, let's say, another month or until it gets the same amount of traffic or sales, and then decide and look, okay, wow, I ran this one. Did it make any difference between this one? And you just do a comparison. So that's all you're doing. You're just comparing with enough sample size, an equal amount of sample size for each one. Which one was the winner? Which is the one that converted better? Which is the one that people responded to more than others. So you do that with the image first, and you can always, do that over several months or years even. You could do that with your title. You could eventually do that with your price, right? Try one price point for a month and then try increasing it or lowering it a little bit and see what difference that makes and and just do a comparison of it. So it's not like a period of time. I'd say it's actually more based on how much data you have that you feel is sufficient enough that you can make a confident decision on which one outperformed the other. So that could be, you might determine 1,000 visits to your listing, or you might determine 100 sales is enough data. Whatever you're comfortable with, you just want to make sure you have conclusive enough evidence of what's going to outperform the other.
The pricing one is really fun. In the beginning, oftentimes you're going to price your product a lot lower than everyone else because that's going to be a competitive advantage. And this is something I often recommend to people, is that in the beginning, you don't got reviews, you don't really have a lot of social proof, you don't have a brand. What do you have? And something that you can always offer is just a better value, a better price. And so oftentimes knowing what your break-even point is, maybe pricing it a little bit above that, but being one of the lowest prices can really help you get that traffic and those sales initially. And then eventually you start to raise your price slowly. And you can start to raise your price above what your competitors are selling and see, okay, what is the sweet spot? At what point do my customers feel like, okay, that's too much, I'm not paying for that? So you have to test that. And for myself, I started selling my waist trainer product at $27.99. And because I kept on going out of stock. And so my way of not going out of stock, to try and delay, me going out of stock, was to increase my price. And I started to notice that as I increased my price, my sales would go up. And I thought, that's counterintuitive. Why are people buying more when I increase my price? And the reason being is because they now see it as more of a luxury premium product. And so it's that perception that this is a higher quality product. And so I started to increase my price like $2 every few weeks. And it went all the way up to $60. And then I went above $60 and I started to realize, oh, that's when it drops. When it hits $70, people are like, that's too much. But now my product's priced at $59 and it's the perfect sweet spot where people are happy with it. So pricing is definitely something to split test. So ES says, my competitors use pictures that their supplier uses on Alibaba, so I'm assuming they belong to the supplier. I plan on working with the same supplier. Can I also use the same pictures in my listing? So you can, but the thing is, sometimes your suppliers on Alibaba, they might have pictures that they're using that they don't own the rights to. I know my suppliers and other suppliers I've seen on Alibaba, they use pictures from other brands that are selling this product in America, and they steal those pictures and they use them as their own. And so you have to be careful about that. Like, I would ask your supplier, I would do your own due diligence. But even more importantly than that, I would say, like, why do you want to use those pictures? Yeah. Because usually the pictures that your supplier provides for you, they're very basic pictures. We just emphasize for like 20 minutes how important your pictures are and how it's important to really make sure that they're made for Amazon, because the pictures your supplier has is just going to be basic product photography, just showing you the product. There's nothing fancy about it. You want pictures that are made for Amazon, like this certain dimensions, taking up more white space, enlarging it, maybe 3D rendered, adding text, like all of those things are very important. So it's worth, the pictures are worth the money to invest some money into that to get it professionally done. Yeah. So, and plus, if you just have the same pictures as your competitor, you're not going to stand out. Your competitor's probably already established on Amazon, already has more reviews, more social proof. If you have the exact same pictures, why is someone going to click on your listing instead of theirs?
Yeah, and just like one thing too, like, you can't assume that it belongs to the supplier. There's a lot of suppliers on Alibaba that will take the images from someone else and use it on Alibaba without their permission. And then number two, you're also putting your listing at risk, because if your competitor sees that you're using their image, right, and they own the rights to it, or even if they don't own the rights, but they've had their listing more established than you, and then they go and report you, your listing's done. Amazon's gonna enforce copyright and remove your listing. That happened to my brother actually around a bullet point. He had the same bullet point as a competitor. The competitor reported that. It was just a headache to get his listing back up. So just avoid that.
Me too, actually. When I was first sourcing my cognac sponge, I didn't have any professional photos of the sponge. And you know what I did? don't tell anyone. I went to my competitors and I stole their image, their main image, because it didn't have their logo or anything. And I used it on my Amazon listing. And I didn't know, like, I was very naive. I didn't know that was a problem. And then they sent me a cease and desist, and my Amazon listing got suspended, and it caused issues. And I had to remedy that by removing their images and using my own. So be careful with that. And yes, suppliers oftentimes, use other people's images.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Peter says, can you talk about the details of how to give out ebooks to customers when they purchase my product? If there's a certain website to get them from, where to store them, and then other related logistics. Yeah, so Peter, what you'd want to do is, so the ebook, I mean, it's pretty simple to create an ebook. You just use a Microsoft Word or Pages, any word processing editor. You'd write out the ebook, you'd export it as a PDF file. The PDF file, you'd want to host it somewhere. So that could be either on your own website. We both have the bonus for you to set up a website, and you can use hosting like Bluehost, which will host your website, any files that you want to host on Bluehost. You could host it on Dropbox, on Google Drive, on Amazon Web Services. There's many places that you can host a PDF file and deliver it. Even if you use ClickFunnels, which can help you create a funnel for to actually build the email list and all that, you can, I think, host it on ClickFunnels as well. So you'd have the ebook, you'd have it hosted somewhere, and then you need a funnel. You need a landing page or an opt-in page. I've got videos on my YouTube channel that go into this, in my affiliate marketing mastery course that go into this, which if you signed up through me is a bonus. I go through the step-by-step of this, but what you'd want to do is you just create a one-page website on ClickFunnels. You offer something for free. You have like a cover of the ebook that you're offering. You have to put in their name and email to get it. When they put in the name and email, it links with something like Aweber, which is an ESP, email service provider. So now their information is getting added to your Aweber account. And then you deliver for them in that first email, here's the link to the ebook that I promised you. So they can download it from the email that you provide a link to it for them, and they get access to it. There's many different tutorial videos out there that can walk you through these steps on YouTube. And like I said, inside my courses and whatnot as well. But pretty much once you have that landing page or the opt-in page, once you have that link, like you're also going to want to set up your own website, right? So your own domain name. So it'd be www.projectlifemastery.com/ebook, right? You could set that up, and then that link you'd want to have on your Amazon list, your Amazon product packaging. So your insert or your packaging, you'd want to have the text on that saying, download the free ebook, www.projectlifemastery.com/ebook. So it's kind of hard to explain like this. It's something that there's step-by-step tutorial videos that will walk you through the process. Sorry, someone's at the door, but there's someone that can walk you through that process like visually. It's a good idea to kind of see and look at how everything works. So it is like logistically, there's steps to it and everything, but it's pretty simple once you set it up once. You've got a funnel set up and running for you.
Oh, wait, up here. It says, any requirements for logo? Does it go on the product itself or on package or on both? This is my difficult part because it changes the price of the item from the supplier. Okay, so I love this question. So for your logo, remember in the beginning with your first order, you don't want to just do everything that you can, right? You just want to have, there's so many ways that you can modify things. You can modify the product itself. You can have fancy packaging. There's so much that you can do, but you don't have to do it now. This is your first product. You're learning the process. You haven't really proved your concept yet. Let's wait until you get some traction, you get sales on Amazon before you start investing more money into these extra luxuries. So at first, if you're going to have custom packaging, you want your logo just in the packaging, because if you now have your logo printed on the product itself, that's going to be a modification that's going to cost you more money and is not necessary. Because again, remember, when people are buying your product on Amazon, this isn't like a retail store where they get to try it on and see how it looks and feel it and see all of the inside and details. They're just looking at your Amazon listing, at your pictures. And oftentimes they don't care if your brand name is on the product or not, because right now, nobody's an established brand. We're all just starting off new. Nobody cares about our brand name. So I would not waste money doing that at this stage. Myself, with my brand, I only started printing the Lux Curves brand name on the products 3 months ago. So it's been years, and I only started printing it on the product a few months ago because I waited until I had, significant profits to reinvest into these luxuries such as special packaging and branding and all of these things, because these are second to everything else. Once the customer receives your product, that's a whole different story. That's about branding, but that's not what's going to help you convert sales, right? That's going to improve your customer's experience, help you get more recurring customers, improve your brand presence, but that's not going to help you initially get those sales. And so right now we're just focused on those initial sales. And so any extra money that you can save, do, because then you can put that towards your marketing, which is getting your product in front of people. So that's an expense I wouldn't worry about. You're worried about calculating profit margins, just get a quote for having, your own logo printed on the actual packaging. You don't need to have it printed on the product.
Liths says, I have a friend who hosts my websites at a really good price. I really don't want to switch to Bluehost. So may I still get my new website done by you? So Lith, no, the requirement that we have explicitly for that bonus is to set up through Bluehost. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to provide that bonus for you. The only way that we can provide this bonus is I pay someone to set up every website. We have a step-by-step process for them to follow. And then when someone comes along, they're like, hey, can you do it like this on this host or that host? Then it's like a whole new procedure for us. And I'm not going to train my team to set up websites on, all these different types of hosts and all that. So we make it as simple as possible. We explicitly say upfront on the bonus pages that we have that it is a requirement through Bluehost. We'll install WordPress for you. We'll install one of these themes of Studio Press, which you've already paid for you as well. And we'll configure it and set up the basics for it. It's a very basic setup service that's really meant to save you 5 to 10 hours in this process and save you some money. Beyond that, my team is not going to go beyond that process and customize things the way you want. And, you want it on your host or whatever it is, we're not going to do that for you. So if you want to use the bonus, it's going to be based on the terms that we have set up, the requirements we have set up. You might not need it. You said you already got a host. Great. Seems like you already have websites and all that. So maybe you don't need the bonus. But if you do want the bonus, then this is the process we have for you and how we can deliver it for you.
Elizabeth says, thanks, beautiful people, for going to Kenya. This is where I come from. An important part of my why is to reach out to the youth mothers to empower them. I think that's so beautiful, and it's great that you've identified what your why is, and a why that goes beyond yourself it's a why that's going to last you, and it's going to have such an impact on what you do with your business and how you grow. Because when you have, like we talked about this in the last call, when you have a strong enough why, then it beats all of the excuses. If I'm not comfortable, I'm tired, I don't want to work on my business. No, when you have a strong why, you do it because you have this compelling future, this vision, this thing beyond yourself that you want to achieve. So I think that above anything is so important. And Kenya was such a beautiful place, and we loved it so much, and we loved the people there. So we look forward to going back there. And part of our why, probably our biggest why, one of the biggest whys, is to be able to contribute beyond ourselves in communities like the ones that we visited in Kenya, Ethiopia, different places like that where they really need help. And so it's a strong motivator, because at some point, I remember when we were in Kenya, at that point I was kind of getting a little bit complacent with my business, not grinding as much, working as hard, being very comfortable with where I'm at. I've achieved a lot of success with my business and just kind of coasting. But then when I went to that community and I saw firsthand, the needs that they have, all of a sudden I said, no, I have to work harder. I must make more money so that I can contribute more. And so it helped kind of push me and gave me that motivation I needed to kind of kick my butt.
Yeah. Zara says, I wonder why some top selling products have just a few traffic grabbing words. Zara, top selling products, they don't have to necessarily do what you have to do as a beginner, right? Because they've already established their listing. They've got more than enough sales velocity. They might have hundreds or thousands of reviews. There's things you want to try to take from them and apply, but they don't necessarily have to really dial in maybe parts of their marketing in ways that you have to, or you might have to stand out from them in different ways and apply some different marketing strategies to help you out. But a lot of products on Amazon, you don't know how they're selling the product. Maybe they have a huge brand outside of Amazon. They're getting all this traffic from that brand in ways that you're just not getting, and they have that advantage that you don't have. So there's a lot of factors that go into play of what makes a top product. And you really have to analyze that product to really learn as much as you can and see like how they're selling it ultimately. But there are things you can take from them and apply, other things maybe not. And a lot of products on Amazon, they aren't internet marketers. They don't know how to optimize their listing in different ways. They've just been able to succeed in spite of all of that, you know, or maybe they set up their listing 5 or 10 years ago, right? There's so many factors that go into that. So you have to kind of like look at every case a little bit different, every product a little bit different, and investigate and study and analyze it as much as you possibly can. And that's the process of what helps you learn what is selling, what doesn't sell on Amazon, what works, what doesn't work. And that's how you develop your experience and your skill set.
Mm-hmm. So Melanie's asking, for my website, should I use Shopify or WordPress? Lots of people are talking about Shopify, saying that the e-commerce is the best platform out there. Any advice? So I think that's a great question and something that people do ask quite often. And it depends on what your situation is. So for you guys right now, you are looking to sell on Amazon using the Amazon marketplace. And so we have to think, okay, what is the purpose behind having a website? Why do I even want a website in the first place? And your purpose at this stage right now is not because you want to sell products on your website. It's because you just want to have a bit of a brand presence. You want to have a page where those logical buyers, if they're searching your brand name on Google, then they have a website that they can go to. They can learn more in depth about your product. Maybe you have an About Me page and you have a Contact Us page, because those logical buyers, they're probably gonna have questions. They want to have that certainty that they can contact you. And so the idea of your website is really to provide that. It's very basic, nothing fancy about it. And then also it helps you to generate those links, like links that you can use for your bonuses and things like that.
Yeah. Or if like you want to get traffic, if you want to do blogging and search engine optimization, all those sort of things. So as you said, knowing what you're doing it for.
Exactly. And so the point is that right now, the purpose of your website is not to sell products on your website. You're going to sell products on Amazon. Yeah. You only need to have a Shopify site if your purpose is to sell products on your Shopify store, on your website. So at this stage, that's not necessary. It's an expense that's not necessary. It's time consuming, and I'd rather you spend your time doing all of the other ASM training. So set up a very basic site. And then in the future, once you say, okay, I've got steady, consistent sales on Amazon, I want to diversify. I don't want to have all my eggs in one basket. Let's now start selling on my own website. Then you can build a Shopify store. Nothing is set in stone. You can have a WordPress site and then convert it to a Shopify store. You can change your brand name. Anything can change. And so don't feel like, whatever you do today, it's going to be like this forever. More than likely it's not. You're going to make improvements each month, each year. Things will, get better. So start with WordPress, move to Shopify.
Ahmad says, when my brand goes on the package and on the item, should it also reflect in the manual? So yeah, absolutely. If you have your branding on your packaging, have it in the manual as well. But Ahmad, I can tell from your questions, you're worrying a little bit too much about things that don't matter that much. Let's try not to major in minor things, because at the end of the day, like these things don't matter as much. People, they're not seeing the manual or even the packaging itself on the Amazon listing. The Amazon listing is what's going to sell the product. When they receive the product, it's nice to have the branding on it. Of course, you do want to have that, but the manual, you don't need to necessarily go, it's not going to, you've already made the sale. These are extra little things that you can do to make it a little bit better, to make it more aesthetic, to maybe build a little bit more of a, adds a little bit more value to the person that's receiving the product. But at the end of the day, these things don't matter as much as we make them to be. Most customers, they're not even going to notice, okay? 99% are not going to notice that you don't have your logo on the manual and you only have it on the packaging, right? Those are things that aren't really going to move the needle that much in your business. And really what we got to do, guys, as entrepreneurs, is we got to focus on what matters the most, the highest leverage, the most important things that's really going to determine our sales, because we only have so much mental RAM and bandwidth up here. When you clutter your mind with all these little things, all these little details that really don't make that much of a difference, then you're actually preventing yourself from focusing on things that do matter, like getting sales and the big things that really make a difference. So that's like a big piece of mindset, is how you mentally prioritize all this information, all the things you could do and you can do, yes, but you have to know what are the most important things that are really going to move the needle and make the biggest difference. So my answer is like, go for it, but really it doesn't matter if you have the logo or the, on your manual or not, those things don't matter that much.
My experience has been, sometimes when you're just focusing so much on the little things, it's actually a form of distraction, because you have these big things or big projects that you need to work on, but it's almost like you're a little bit fearful to dive into that. You don't know what to expect. So as a way to distract yourself subconsciously, you start doing all these little things and putting so much emphasis on all these little things, when really, as Stefan said, they're not going to move the needle. You need to be working on the big things, the high leverage things. That's what's going to make the biggest impact and the best use of your time.
Yeah, it's like a website, so many people are so focused on the bells and whistles, but you don't have anyone coming to your website yet. How about we get people to your website first, and then we improve and make those things better? Because 99% of people are not going to even notice that little detail change you made to your website, or the color change, or whatever it might be, So again, like a lot of those things, they don't matter as much as we think.
There's always going to be room for improvement. Always. My website right now, it's, I'm doing over 130K per month in sales on this website, and the website is not good at all. Like, I don't like the website. I don't like the aesthetics of it. Like, there's so many details that aren't there, and I'm not 100% satisfied with it, but it's not the best use of my time right now. And so it's okay. It's working, it's functioning, and that's fine. Like, you have to not have that perfectionist mentality, because then you'll never really get anything done. You're going to be wasting time on all these small things.
And I think that's just what slows people down. It's like we just, worry so much about these things and clutter our minds with them. And it's like, let's just move forward, like make a decision. At some point, you just got to decide, like WordPress, Shopify, just decide. Same thing with picking a product. So many people, they worry so much about these things, and it just prevents them from taking action. And that's going back to what I said about analysis paralysis, right? You are paralyzed because of overthinking that you take no action. So we got to be careful with that, and sometimes, yes, it does make sense. I know we want to make things great, but you have to know that balance of, is this holding you back? And is this the best use of your focus, your time, and your mental energy?
So how much similar can my listing be to my competitor's listing to avoid risk of getting flagged for copyright? Well, essentially, just don't plagiarize. Like, don't copy them word for word. Don't copy your sentences. Don't take their photos. I think like, you don't, most of us, we know if we're plagiarizing, if we're stealing someone else's stuff. So as long as you're not doing that, you should be fine.
Nink asks, what's the difference between the bullet point and the description? They're so similar. What are the content you will suggest to put in the description and bullet besides the benefit and feature? So the bullet points is just a summary of like the most important bullets. Like, what's the most important things that the benefits that you want to communicate to your customers, right? So that's a lot shorter. The description can be a lot more in depth. The description, you might want to even hire a copywriter to write really quality description for you. But the description gives you an opportunity just to include more text, to really maybe share a story, or have like a really great headline, and just, some good paragraphs of sales copy that can convert someone that's going to read it into buying your product. So the bullet points are just kind of more of a summary of that, just like point by point. Here's the top 5 benefits. Description is just a more in-depth, detailed version of that.
Okay, so how do you manage marketing on social media, such as Facebook and Instagram, for the brand? Do you always create your own content or use other people's content? So it really depends on your niche. It depends on what you already have access to. As you mentioned, using other people's content, that's a great way to come up with content. If you are, you don't have much to post, just make sure that you always give people credit, tag their accounts, because otherwise you can get in trouble for that as well. And in terms of managing social media, I mean, at this point, I have someone that I pay to do that. But in the beginning, I did it myself. And it's just making a post every day. I only did once a day. And for the content, I would just, you have your own products at your house probably, and just take pictures of it. You can go to family and friends, have them using it. It's very easy to take pictures on your iPhone, and you can just edit them to make them look a little bit more professional. You can use, there's different editing apps on the iPhone that are great. But yeah, it's not, don't overcomplicate it. It's not that hard. Just keep posting content. All that matters is being consistent. Consistency, using your hashtags to reach people more. And eventually you can hire someone to do that for you, because it's very affordable to hire someone from, say, the Philippines for $4 an hour who loves doing this. Maybe it's not your forte. And so then you can be spending your time doing something else.
Yeah, and just one follow-up question that she had. What are the types of content that we should put to engage with the customers or grab their attention on social media like Facebook and Instagram? That's a question that we can't answer. Only the best way to answer that is make a list of your top 10 competitors on Instagram and Facebook, okay? And then see what they're posting, right? See what they're posting and look at the engagement, the likes, the comments, how many followers they have. That will give you an idea of what's working, what's not. Because every product, every niche is going to be different. And I don't know your product. I don't know your niche. I don't know what you're selling. I don't know what people are responding to. But if I was in your shoes and I was actually, working with you one-on-one, I would go to Instagram and type in, look at my competitors, type in these keywords and see exactly what they're posting and what's working for them. And you might even determine maybe, for example, what you're selling, there's not anyone on Instagram or Facebook. And if that's the case, then you just saved yourself a lot of time of trying to use Instagram and Facebook, which might not be an effective strategy for the product you're trying to sell. So the best answer to this is, what are your competitors doing? How are they marketing their products? What are they posting? What are they posting that's working and what's not working? Analyze and study that. See what they're doing, and then you try to do the same thing, and you experiment, you build your Instagram, your Facebook based on that. But the only way to really know is look what they're doing, look at what your competitors are doing, and try to study and model that.
Mm-hmm. Heather says, have you used the Jungle Scout Find Supplier search? I've been using it to try and find my competitor suppliers, but the results I'm getting are consistently way off. So yes, I used it, and for myself, when I used it, it was not off. It was actually accurate. I even tried it with my own product, and it showed my supplier and all the suppliers, even the suppliers I don't order from regularly. So I haven't had the same experience as you. But you don't have to depend on that. You can still do regular supplier research. Go to Alibaba, wherever you want to source from. There's different platforms from that, or just go to Google and find a supplier. So if you don't feel comfortable relying on the Jungle Scout Find a Supplier tool, then you don't have to. By all means, do the traditional route. But my experience has been that it's pretty accurate. They don't have every supplier, but when it comes to the specific products, like I found Lululemon suppliers and a number of other brands that I was kind of looking up, and they were all fairly accurate. And yes, Jungle Scout does have a sale going on now. So if you want to take advantage of the sale, you can get 60% off Jungle Scout. I know Zara said that. If you go to tatianajames.com/Jungle Scout, there is a coupon code there. And it's like a better discount than you'll get if you actually go to the website, just because I'm an affiliate. So they give a better discount for affiliates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can send out an email. We both have some training videos on Jungle Scout too. So we'll send an email for you guys. Share more on product research if you need help with that. Peter says, if a product needs a battery, is it possible to order the battery from the US, send it to Amazon to avoid the issue of importing batteries with the product, or rather skip the product? Well, you always have the option of not including batteries, and you can have that transparent in your listing, your packaging, batteries not included. That's what a lot of companies do. In terms of whether the consumer, like how they respond to that or not, I don't know. I mean, yes, it'd be great to include batteries, but there's logistical issues that are with that. In terms of, is it possible to have it like packaged in that way? There might be. You might have to send it somewhere else for them to do that. I don't think Amazon really does that. So you'd have to find another way. I've never sold a product with batteries, so I don't really know the answer, the best way that you could do it, and what the logistics and regulations are with selling batteries and shipping batteries. But I'm sure that's something that in the ASM community they can help you with.
Yeah. Also, you have to, for example, I ordered electric toothbrushes the other day for Stefan and myself, and we thought that batteries would go inside them, but they actually just charge,
Right.
using a regular, USB charger. So most of the newer products these days, they don't really use batteries. So maybe there's an option to find a supplier who, instead of batteries, has it charged via USB or the plug and stuff. So that might be a better, more modern, more sustainable option.
Okay, Sage says, found my final product, have already communicated with my manufacturer, will purchase first order before Christmas. What are some things I should finalize and ask with my manufacturer before ordering? Just really the things, ASM guides you with. We talked about, suppliers and whatnot in another session that we did, but like the things that we discussed before in the previous sessions, it's good to know is, what are like the long-term prices that you can get if you order more with them? Asking about customization, if you want to do that with the product eventually and customize it in different ways, asking about what other types of products they might have available, asking about their turnaround time, shipping options. It's just all the basic stuff that ASM guides you with.
Romeo says, my supplier is making a modification to a product that will be exclusive to me and 2 of their other customers. The exclusive period is only 60 days. Should I airship my first order to launch sooner? So let me think about that. So, if your supplier is making a product exclusive to you and 2 others for only 60 days, that 60 days is going to end, and then other people can sell that product. So your idea is to be the first to launch this modification on Amazon, and maybe that improves your search ranking or whatever it may be. Potentially those 2 other customers are also Amazon sellers. I guess we don't know that.
I guess if you only have 60 days and if your goal, I don't know what your mindset is around it, but if you're just thinking, I got a 60 days head start on this modification before anyone else can do it. Maybe shipping by air, you'll get there faster. But that's not any guarantee that you're really going to sell more than anyone else, because 60 days isn't really that much time. It can take a while before you really build up your listing and whatnot. You have a bit of a head start, and it could make sense to maybe invest that more money to get it up early and get that head start. But at the end of the day, you have to determine how is it really going to make that much of a difference. It might, because maybe not everyone 60 days from now are going to jump on it. Maybe they might not even know about this modification, and it might be several months or several years before they catch on to it. So it might not even make that much sense, really. I think just weighing how fast can you get it there by air, how fast by boat, and how in demand or competitive is this product, where realistically my competitors are going to jump on this after the 60-day window. If it's fairly low, then maybe you just go by boat. If it's pretty high and you really feel like this is a great advantage, then maybe just pay the extra money and get it out there faster.
I actually think it could be worth shipping by air. Of course, you don't want to be at a loss with your profit margin, so you have to consider, okay, how much is this going to cost me to ship by air? But even if with this first inventory, you make no money, you just break even, but you are the first to launch this new modification, that could serve you. And then that can help you with your listing ranking, and therefore your second and third inventory, you just have more orders. So I think it could be worth it. But again, not if it means that you're losing money in the process.
Siavash was asking about creating an ebook. Where do I get and buy an ebook? So an ebook is something you'd write, you'd create yourself. You just simply create it in a Microsoft Word or any word processing doc, export it as a PDF, and now you have a downloaded ebook file that you can deliver to people as long as you host it somewhere and send them the link.
Also, I would mention that you can also buy ebooks that are already made.
Yeah, you could buy the rights to them. So there's ebooks you can buy the rights to. It's private labeling is essentially what it is. Someone's already created it, you buy the rights. You could do that, but really, you want an ebook that's tailored to your product. And then ideally the ebook itself, you add value, but you also funnel people from that into another product, whether it's yours or an affiliate product. There's a lot of advanced things you can do with it that is more like affiliate marketing and there's a lot of strategies with it. I mean, those we could go pretty deep with that. Maybe that's for another session.
Yeah.
But
I
for now,
though,
just delivering something and obviously getting people that claim it first is what makes the most sense before you really spend the time and energy in maybe like, yeah, really optimizing it, whatnot too. So you got to see whether or not like any ebook, and then, by the way, an ebook, it could be like 2 pages. It could be like a cheat sheet. It could be a checklist. It could be a free guide that is like 5 pages long. Oftentimes, the shorter, the better, rather than providing like a 200-page book that no one's going to read. So I like short guides, maybe how to use the product, maybe on how to deliver something, help add more value to them, or give them some more great tips or something like that. That's still valuable enough, but it's fairly short for them to consume.
Yeah.
But there's so much we could go into when it comes to that. I mean, right now, I mean, the main thing is just try to offer something to build an email list from, and then you've proven that successful, then you go back and you put the time, the energy, and the money into it.
That's why, like with my first product, my cognac sponge, I just went ahead and I bought the rights to a beauty ebook, which was just a very like a 40-page skincare like routine ebook, and it wasn't something I made, but I just used that because I wanted to get the ball rolling, and eventually I would make my own ebook. And so I bought that, and it worked. Like I was able to funnel people into, signing up and opting in and giving me their website because it was an ebook that was related to my product.
Mm-hmm. So Zara has some great words for me. Thank you, Zara, just for you commented on my YouTube channel and the videos I put out. So thank you for it, and great job. You bought 2 products I use and recommend, the Productivity Journal and the 5-Minute Journal. So congrats, and happy to add value to you.
Alma says, I live in Canada and will be selling in the US. If down the road I want to sell in Canada, how do I go about it? Well, it's actually fairly simple. So both Stefan and myself are from Canada, and we started first selling in the US. And because US and Canada, we're all North America. So Amazon has the North America plan, which means that if you sell in the US, you can, with the same Amazon Seller Central account, sell in Canada. And so it's a fairly simple process. And it's, setting up your listing and all of that, that's the easy part. You can choose whether or not you want to have inventory in Canada or ship from the US to Canada. I personally chose to have inventory in Canada. And then the only other things that you have to concern yourself with is eventually, if you live in Canada, you're going to want to collect like GST. And so thinking about the tax implications of that, which comes down the road, but it's not too, I know sometimes tax, we get scared, but it's not that big of a deal. It's easy to set up in your Amazon Seller Central account. In fact, Amazon is very easy to set up sales tax collection. They automatically populate what the rates are for each state, and same thing in Canada. So it's a fairly simple process.
Mm-hmm. Lucy says, I'll focus on my digital bonuses. What do you think is the most valuable bonus for a fitness product? I know the video is probably the best, but I don't want to be the face of my brand. Do you recommend hiring a model and shoot a video? Is there another way? Thanks for everything. Yeah, so Lucy, so first, fitness is very broad. You got to know, what is the #1 benefit that your customers want when they buy your product? Are they buying it because they want to lose fat? Do they buying it because they want to gain muscle mass? Are they buying it because they want to gain strength? Fitness is pretty broad. You got to know what's that core benefit. So, and you also got to know if the people buying your product, are they men or are they women, right? Because fitness advice for men and women might be even different as well. So you got to know your demographic a little bit better. And then what you can do is then you can create something that helps further solve that one benefit or problem that they have. Videos is great. I mean, people love videos. It has a higher perceived value, but videos can be hard. If you don't want to do it, you'd have to hire a model, have professional camera equipment. You're going to have to probably even change it over time anyways to make it better in different ways until you really know who your core demographic and customer is. I think the easier option is just to start with an ebook. So for example, if you identify that people buying your product and the big goal is that they want to lose fat, then create an ebook on, 7 7 strategies for losing fat or something. Like, you'd make it more sexy than that, but you would have some sort of like 7 ways or 5 tips or something like that, that would be valuable enough that someone would want, and they'd put in their name and email to be able to get that. And an ebook is simple to create. It could be like 5-10 pages. It could be fairly short, and it's something you can easily edit and improve and change and modify. So it's a little bit easier to do instead of video. And then maybe you determine at a certain point the video makes sense. It can help boost sales, build your list a lot better, and then you can invest in doing a video training like that.
Mm-hmm. So Saivash says, Stefan, I bought ASM11 through Tatiana, so I don't have access to your tax course bonus, but it sounds interesting and I'm very interested in learning more. Does Tatiana also have this bonus? So I want to clarify that it's not a tax course.
No.
Neither of us have a tax course. We're not giving you any tax advice. Stefan simply created a video where he's just shared a few pieces of information that has helped him along the way. And so if that's something that you want, I can send that to you. But it's not a course by any means. Okay. I did all the work on one product, and it was a product that I would like to work with. It used to make good revenue, but now it's making like $3,000 in revenue. What do you think I should do? Well, I mean, if your product is doing good, that is good. That's a good sign. It means that there's something good about it. You know, your customers liked it. Maybe your listing was done well, whatever it may be. So if the revenue is not where you want it to be, you still have room to improve it. And so just follow what you've learned in ASM to now apply this to this product, because I believe that you launched this product before you took the ASM course. And then you can get that revenue back to where you want. There's 1,000,001 things that you guys can do to improve your product. You know, like if you launch your product and within a month you're not happy with the sales, there's so many things that you can do to improve that and to get more sales, improve your revenue. And so you just have to decide, okay, what right now would be the best thing for me to focus on based on my product, based on my target audience. Who is it that I'm targeting? Where can I find them? You know, what social sites are they spending their time on? And then you decide, okay, this is where my time and energy should go. It's focusing on, for example, you know, Facebook ads or whatever it may be. So there's always so many things that you can do. And you just have to do that.
It's learning marketing, right? Because it's not, you can do 1,000,000 things to make a great product, but a great product doesn't win. It's the best marketed product that wins. So a lot of people, they have a great product, they differentiate it, they improve it, it's really high quality, but if you don't market it, no one's going to know about it. So learning marketing skills, and again, whether that is Facebook ads, whether it's setting up funnels and email marketing, social media marketing, influencer marketing, blogging, YouTube, whatever it is, those are skills that you got to learn and figure out how to drive traffic to your product if you want to increase the sales of it. And you can't just, you know, Amazon's going to do a lot for you and has a lot of things that can help you, but it's learning those other skills that will give you that even greater advantage.
Yeah, we were just talking about this today, just among ourselves, and how, you know, sometimes, you know, we think that, oh, we're just going to take one course, we're just going to read one book, and that's going to help us. We're going to know everything that we need to know to become successful. And that's just not true. And the success mindset is this mindset of, I will learn and do whatever it takes to achieve my goals. I will take this course, but I'll take 10 other courses as well, whatever it takes, so that I'm equipped with the skills I need to become a success, to launch a successful product, to have a successful Amazon business, whatever it may be. And so it's realizing that you're not going to have all the answers from just one book, one course, one training, whatever it may be. And you might have to learn, okay, where can I learn this skill set, and invest time into that.
Yep, always learning.
What is the break-even price? Is it when the profit is 0 or under 20%? Does the 20% profit cover cost of advertising? So break-even price is, as the name denotes, it's at what point, you know, at what point do you break even with your costs? So for example, if your product is selling at $15 and it costs your total costs for the product. So costs includes how much the product actually costs you from the manufacturer, the packaging, shipping the product, any fulfillment costs, anything, all costs will once you determine what those costs are, you determine what the true profit margins are. So if the product total cost is $10 and you're selling that product for $15, that means that you make a $5 profit. So that's how you know what the profit margins are. And the break-even point would be if the total cost for the product is $10 and you're selling for $10, you're breaking even. You're not making money, you're not losing money. And so maybe you heard me saying this earlier because I was talking about maybe when you first launch your product, you break even with it. Sometimes people will do this just to really push sales to get the initial traction so that your listing ranks higher on Amazon, because then you will have a lower BSR and you get those initial sales, and maybe you don't make any money from that first inventory order. You break even with it, so you're not losing money, you're not making money, but it helps you get ahead. And then with your second inventory order, you increase the price and you start making more money.
Yeah, you got to look at what's maybe your profit margin in the beginning is always going to be the lowest because you're probably discounting the product. You're not ordering as much inventory, et cetera. But you got to look at what's the potential, like where can I get this profit margin to if I increase my order, if I increase my price, if I increase my branding, if I have better marketing, all of that. But you got to factor in the expenses involved in running a business, right? So you got to factor in reordering inventory. You can maybe have to factor in some marketing costs as well as maybe even eventually paying yourself too, right? And factoring that in as well. So you got to do the math and make sure you have a healthy profit margin with whatever product you're going to sell.
Yeah. And speaking of profit margin, when it comes to an e-commerce business, it's really important to know, like, okay, where do you want to go with this business? Because I think I talked about this in an earlier coaching call, like having a vision for your business. Do you just want to make a couple $1,000s a month in profit? Or do you want to build a business that's doing, millions of dollars per year? That's your decision. You can do both. You have the ability, the capacity to build either or, and it's your choice. And some people might be thinking, oh, of course I want to build the millions of dollar business. But others might be thinking, no way, that's like too much work, too much stress. I'm not interested in that. I just want to support my current lifestyle. I don't have any desires to increase my lifestyle. So identifying which one you are is going to be really valuable in making certain decisions. For example, one decision that people struggle with is, when do they pay themselves? At what point do I start paying myself for my Amazon business? And you pay yourself depending on what decision you make. If you want to really build a business that's going to scale, you probably aren't going to pay yourself for quite a while. It's not until your business is reaching maybe $100,000 per month in revenue where you actually start to pay yourself, because you have those excess profits to do so. Because until that point, you keep reinvesting the profit margin so that it can scale as fast as possible. But if you don't care for that, if you just want to be making a couple $1,000s per month, just pay yourself whenever you can afford to in terms of your profits. You don't have to reinvest everything back into the business. So I think it's really good to understand that ahead of time, because when you start to get into this business, you can fall into a lot of things and it might kind of put you off track. But know what you want out of this business. Have a vision of what you want to get out of it.
Yep. Okay, question is, do you know a great product photographer that you can use and recommend, as well as any graphic designers? So I don't have anyone specific, but productphotography.com is great. There's companies that are specific for Amazon sellers, like productphotography.com. Otherwise, graphic designers, go to fiverr.com or 99designs.com. Okay, fiverr.com or 99designs.com. You can find great people there.
So is the Made in China label printed on the package standard practice for manufacturers in China? Do we still have to request for this? It's not standard practice. You do have to ask your manufacturer to print this. But if you are getting custom packaging, it should be something that you have embedded into your packaging graphics design. Just like you might have your barcode embedded in there, so it's not like an extra sticker. You can also have the Made in China text embedded in there. But sometimes suppliers will have stickers that they just automatically stick on. Most of the time you do have to request it. Is the profile name in Seller Central the company name or brand name? Should this be the same as my domain name? Is the product name the same as the brand name? Okay, I think there's a couple questions in there. So is the profile name in Seller Central the same as the company name and the brand name? So your profile in Seller Central will be your company name does not have to be your brand name. It's up to you. You could have your company name be your brand name. Your seller profile is going to be your brand name. So how do I say this? When you sign up for your Seller Central account, you're going to use your company name, but the public seller profile name, which is the name when customers click on your seller profile, that's going to be your brand name. And then the other question was, is the product name the same as the brand name? So the brand name might be, for example,
like Apple, and the product name might be the iPhone.
Yes. So your product name is specific to your individual products. So you might have one brand name, which is Apple, and you might have like 10 different products, each one with their own product names.
Okay, Siavash asks, for the bonus WordPress website, can we give you the related material like content for an About Us page? So no, my team's not going to add content on your page. It's not going to customize it. It's a basic setup that we're going to set up the theme for you, configure the plugins, add plugins, make sure it's search engine optimized, configure everything for you. But we're not going to we're not setting up all the pages of your website. That's up to you. You can do that once we deliver it for you. But my team is not at that level to do that for you. All the details and instructions are there for you on the page. And we request everything up front that we'll then do for you. So it's pretty in-depth and very descriptive, the page. I made it that way for a reason. So it describes everything that my team will do for you. Okay, another one was Melanie says, any advice on the meditation niche? I found an interesting product in this category, but I'm not sure if I can build a brand in this niche because I never did meditation myself yet. Meditation niche is great. I mean, I love meditation. I think we should all do meditation. I think there's a lot of benefits from it. There's a lot of potential in the niche, but I mean, it's great to sell a product that you're familiar with, that you'd use yourself, that you're into the niche yourself. You're interested or passionate about it because that gives you an advantage in it. So that might, I don't know how important that is for you. You might have to consider that. Is this something that you want to get into yourself? But meditation is very profitable. I mean, there's a lot you can do outside of Amazon. You can build a YouTube channel. You can find influencers that are spiritual meditation practitioners that can help promote the product for you. There's a lot you can maybe do on social media, Facebook, etc. But I think really the advantage is when you have a passion for it, you're interested in it, you're going to have a greater advantage with that product versus if you don't use it, you're not into it, then you might not put as much into it. So it's just a matter of, yes, there's potential. Yes, it's a great niche, but are you interested in going deep with that and maybe taking an interest in meditation and learning this market demographic so that you can serve it the best way you can?
Mm-hmm. Ahmed says, just to share a follow-up, yesterday I had a 5665 error listing product and I got a representative to help fix error. And she said that Amazon will flag my product if the logo is not on it, maybe new. So there's no reason for Amazon to flag your product if your logo is not on your product unless you have brand registry. Because if you have brand registry, you are telling Amazon that I'm the owner of this brand. And in order to get brand registry, usually you have to show your brand, your mark on the product packaging and sometimes even on the product. So I would say that's the only reason I could think of that. Otherwise, there's no reason for Amazon to tell you that you need to have the logo on your product because, you don't. That's part of private labeling, and a lot of people don't have their logos on their products.
Mm-hmm. So I think there's maybe two questions left, or 2 or 3 questions, I think, before we wrap it up. But Peter says, should we be keeping the winter season in mind if we intend selling camping equipment, just as an example? Yeah, you definitely want to factor that in. I mean, every product might have certain seasons where sales are higher versus lower. So that's something that you might want to be aware of. One of the best things you can use is using Google Trends. It's either, I think, Google Trends, or there's another feature in Google. It will actually tell you, if you type in, for example, camping, it will actually tell you which months out of the year people search camping more than others. And that can kind of give you an idea in terms of, and you can even, be specific about your product as well, something related to camping. But Google Trends, or there might be something else I'm thinking of, I don't remember what it's called, but they'll tell you each month out of the year how much the search volume is for that keyword. So there might be some months where people are searching for camping, they're interested in camping a lot more. It might be summertime. There might be other months where it's a lot less. So those are things that are good to know with your product so that you can factor that in your sales.
Okay. So Zurami says, I've tried WordPress before with Thrive Architect, plugin, and HostGator for hosting. My only concern is if I do not use Wix, I might not get support if I need help from ASM. Your advice, please. So really it is up to you. Like, Wix can be great. And if you want ASM's advice, then do that. Like, we're not pressuring you. It's just a bonus. You guys don't have to take advantage of it. It's not like we're setting up an elaborate fancy website for you. We're just giving you a basic website setup. So if you feel more comfortable with Wix, maybe you can customize it more on your own rather than WordPress, where you might feel like you have to hire someone. Then, up to you. So don't feel like you have to use all of these bonuses. They're bonuses. They're optional for you.
Yeah. Someone said, any advice in the automotive category? I really don't know anything about it. I mean, there's not really anything different, I'd say, versus any other category. I mean, the advice that we're giving you is applicable to almost every category on Amazon. So automotive, I think it could be very profitable, very high demand. I guess it just depends on what type of product it might be. But, it could be a great niche, a great market. And just like with any niche or market or product, you want to know the product, you want to study the product, you want to know the market, the customers. I mean, one of my favorite things to do, I learned this from a marketing mentor that I had. He said, whatever niche that you're in, go deep with it. He said, go to the bookstore, buy all the magazines on it and learn and see what people are buying, the language, the mindset, all of that. So you might want to decide, go to the store, pick up some automotive books and magazines and websites and follow them on social media, all the different automotive competitors that are out there. But whatever the niche is, I think it makes sense to really understand that niche and that market and that demographic as well as you can. I've even said, buy your competitors' products, see what they're selling, compare it to your product, get ideas from them. Whatever niche that you do pursue, just go deep with it. Don't stay at the surface as many people do. So I think that's it. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully you guys got a lot of great value from what we've shared. We look forward to our next session, which will be session number 6, and diving deeper with you guys. But of course, as usual, just keep the momentum going. Keep making progress. Keep taking action. Keep applying ASM. Don't get bogged down as much with every little detail out there. Just make sure that you're in action, because that's the only thing that leads to results and allows you to gain experience along the way. So use the community, use the Facebook group. And otherwise, we look forward to seeing you again in the next week.
Yes, and congratulations again. You guys have made it this far. So just
pat yourselves in the back.
Give yourself a little bit of reward, because sometimes, we forget to reward ourselves and celebrate ourselves, and we kind of subconsciously are expecting someone else to do that, and then we kind of get let down. So make sure that you celebrate yourself, because nobody else will for you. So enjoy it, celebrate, and stay consistent with everything.
Yeah, I always acknowledge myself. Out of everything that I do that's little, as small as it is. I went to the gym, pat myself on the back. I ate a healthy meal. Great job, Stefan. Because the more that you reward yourself, you're building a habit. You're linking pleasure to the process, and you're more likely to do good and to take more action when you acknowledge and reward yourself for it. So we acknowledge you for being here, showing up, making it this far, but don't forget to acknowledge yourself as well, to give yourself that props along the way.
What gets rewarded gets repeated. So if you reward yourself and you associate that pleasure to the action, the positive action, you're going to have a tendency to do it more often. That's kind of like when we first started dating. Sorry, I know we're going to end, but when we first started dating, Stefan got me this book called something about how
Don't Shoot the Dog.
Don't Shoot the Dog. And it's a dog training book. But in that book, it taught us how we teach dogs to behave is similar how you can train humans. And it's all about positive conditioning. And so it's about really seeing, okay, how can I positively condition myself? And it works for your partner and all relationships as well. It's a good book.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.